Hello everybody, good afternoon. We at Product Innovation Academy welcome you all for our today's webinar on how to apply design thinking to enable innovation at your workplace. I would like to take an opportunity to introduce Product Innovation Academy. We at Product Innovation Academy believe in offering the best of the workshops on 3 core areas, including user experience, design thinking, and product management. We conduct the series of networking events and webinars to enable every working professionals to think and design the innovative products and contribute in building the product ecosystem. To get the updated information, please feel free to visit our website www.prodinov.co. Before starting the webinar, I would like to introduce our guest speaker, Manisha Phadke. Manisha is an alumnus of IDC IIT Mumbai. She owns 20 years of experience in varied disciplines like information design, user interface, user experience, design thinking, and product development. She is a passionate educator and trainer and converts her professional experience into imparting the use of design thinking as a creative problem-solving methodology. It's our honor to have Manisha as a guest speaker. Over to you, Manisha. Thank you so much, educator and trainer.
Hi, everybody. Am I visible with my screen? Good day, and trust you have had a great morning. It's a challenge to hold interest for an hour in this late afternoon with no eyeball and audience with other stimuli. It seems like a case of design thinking. So let's get there. Design thinking is the new buzzword in organization corridor talk and associates with another buzzword, which is innovation. Double whammy. I have been often asked, rather with apprehension, how DT can assist in goals other than product development? Reduce time to revert or settle a customer query? Facilitate internal decision-making on a project timeline? Or simply get cross-functional teams to work together? It's aspirational. Well, let's try and uncover this mystery. If we look at challenges at our desk as problems to be solved, we all use one approach or another to get to a solution. It could be a simple waterfall or an agile or lean, or maybe a bit of design thinking as well. Each having their pros and cons. Not getting into the debate of one against the other, let's try and look at what design thinking as a process is and what it has to offer. And let me leave the judgment to you. If we are talking about challenges, let's look at this one. Appraisals. Let's take 3 seconds and write in on the chat what it means to you, and from the point of view of an appraiser and an appraisee. Just 1 or 2 words, please. I take pride that I'm a multitasker, but I don't want to challenge myself reading lines today. Let's get back to my slide. Well, we wish all this were true, but alas, staying in competition versus being in the league of your own is an ongoing debate in most workplaces. Being profitable as an organization and its offering can be means to stay afloat. Having a product offering that surpasses the competition, along with every team member being innovative at his desk, is probably on the dartboard. Keeping a customer engaged in today's digital economy and the social media environment is an Herculean task. It challenges your own offering more than you are comfortable with. The pace is fast. The customer loyalty is dwindling. And today, it's not about a car or a packer or a mover. but it's about holistic, integrated customer engagement. Complex. If the front end is so demanding, then the back end, whether it's product design, planning, implementation, accounting, what have been in the organization covering all levels is required to be clued on and engaging. Customer relationships were historically managed by sales and implementation and PR staff. But today, that one task, and an encompassing one, is the job profile of all in the teams. To sustain customer engagement, every employee plays a role. It's an organization culture. Today, we're dealing with virtual teams, working with technology facilitators, challenged with cross functions, timelines, work schedules, and cultural factors. The job profiles are blurring, and a designer is half a programmer. That's the most common example I could give. Yet some historical challenges still stay. Timely deliveries. Time is money. With such complexities, how can we keep to our deliverables and our schedules? Well, maybe worth understanding how to better oneself. Let's look at a typical business thinking exercise. Let's take attrition, for example. We need to find solutions in this quarter, so the management says. Business thinking is first bounded by a problem. In this case, attrition. The personnel workup charts, see patterns, look at exit interviews, maybe competitive remuneration, which is an information available. Then the team uses their inductive and deductive rationality to solve the problem. I have my own take on whether 100% of our business workers are rational, but let's leave it there. So the effectiveness of the solution is weighted on the quantity of data available, the rational skills, and the pattern seeing ability of a design decision maker. Well, design thinking begins from understanding the user and not the problem. On observations of an empathy research, using abductive reason, we redefine a problem. So what's abductive reasoning? It's a logical ability to infer from the observations that we see at hand. This gets us nearer to the goal. Yeah, you are with me because we have validated the challenge in the first place. Design thinking begins from understanding the user and situations. So if we believe that we are having wicked problems such as this that you can see on my screen, probably we need a holistic thinking exercise which we can learn from design. So workplaces are basically clusters. Clusters of skills and behaviors, team to accomplish a task. The enduring value of design thinking lies in its ability to change mindsets, behaviors, no easy tasks. If one shifts people's mindsets, one can put into motion a series of behavioral changes in the conversation they have with their co-workers, customers, management, clients, suppliers, so on. It can then change the way people see the world and ultimately in hard outcomes they and their organizations create. If we think everyone can be creative and leave the drawing aspect alone, and we intend to alter mindsets in this 1 hour today, half an hour or so, we should try to understand what design thinking is, why is it beneficial, and how we can use it at our workplace. Okay. So design thinking is an empathetic, intuitive, exploratory process. It facilitates collaboration, solution approach, giving, it trains the mind to be divergent, convergent, without losing the holistic view. It is definitely an iterative process, employing low fidelity prototypes that eventually lead to successful futuristic solutions. Successful because we learn to fail early. The process involves co-creation with users, making the process human-centered. So design thinking is a 5-step process. Empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. In the first phase, we need to have a childlike curiosity to develop a deep, immersive understanding of the problem. The mind is now divergent, as you can see in the lower part of my slide, agile, and definitely non-judgmental. I will detail some tools and frameworks in a while from now. In the define stage, we aim to converge and analyze on the basis of the observation of the research. Rightly observed, your mind should now dissociate from the problem and is now funneling down. The problem statement, which is the next, which is the step 2 of the design thinking process, is like a defined playground to play in. It keeps the whole exercise focused. With the problem statement defined, it's time to brainstorm on ideas in the third stage. Here, we are synthesizing and again diverging to visualize many ideas. That's the ideating or the brainstorming step for you. The brainstorming outcomes into a cluster of ideas for prototyping. Here, there is a cross-validation to the problem statement. Remember the fence you can't climb over? Prototyping uses low fidelity materials like paper, straw, maybe just children's play-doh, PPTs in case of software products, and you will definitely be amazed at your own visualization abilities. Now that you have something to show or some concrete artifact to show to your consumer and seek feedback, that's the testing phase. Feedback calls for iteration, low fidelity again. You fail early and you learn fast. I definitely have to show you this visualization of cognitive abilities of design thinking. The lower part of my screen, it's graphic and it's bingo. It's the ability that your mind or your brain will have once you are attained to be a design thinker. And that's exciting, isn't it? Design thinking is the journey from what is to what if, to what wows the user, to what works with the user and the market scenario. Well, if I have overwhelmed you enough, let's begin and focus on 3 steps only. Design thinking for a beginner. But I don't advocate that we should go 5 steps first. Let's begin small. Let's focus on only 3 steps. The empathy phase, defining your problem, and ideating on brainstorming. Let's get into the detail of empathy. Empathy phase rocket really takes you from abstract to concrete. Unlike the NASA one that takes you from the known, which is the Earth, to the unknown, that is the space. For an outcome to be effective, we use the right mindset and tools and framework. Let me introduce you here to a little challenge that I'll take you through the tools. So we all have the Aadhaar card. So for the people who are not in context of it, Aadhaar card is an identification device or a card really started by the government of India. So let's look at the context of these tools in the situation of Aadhaar card. So if Aadhaar card is a problem that we're trying to tackle, let's look at the mindset sets we need in the empathy phase. Mindset is definitely like a child, non-judgmental and ever curious. Why is the question that is in the sink of this mindset? The salience here is to observe by being in the shoes of your customer. So let's go back to the Aadhaar card. So Aadhaar card is to be used by citizens of India. So citizens of India, so our clusters would be male, female, teenager, child at the onset, will then go to male and female, will then go. The mindset that I've already outlined before will be effective if we work on looking at being now clear.
Now it is.
My apologies.
Now it is clear, Manisha.
I'm sorry. Okay, so we were with the Aadhaar card and trying to find out more about it. So getting back, we could video instances where our group of customers would like to identify themselves. Last but not the least, we have to use an ethnographic approach to do it. We have a bunch of frameworks that you can see here. And there may be more. But my favorite is really the empathy framework. It's the 2x2 square where you list down your observations with respect to different customer classes. Let me just storytell a little bit. An Indian startup company with a great wheelchair design and very economically priced had to shut down after 2 years. Any guesses on why this could be? Well, the friendly. Well, I would have thought that so, but that was not the reason. The reason being, our mentality doesn't believe that old age is with a normal life. So we don't believe that aged, even if they are rendered immobile because of their age or because of their health, really need to go out and enjoy themselves or probably just go over to a temple. And that's the reason why this startup failed. So where do we get this insight from? It's by this empathy research. So as I was saying, you can list down what your customer says, and these will be series of customer clusters, and you will find that there is a disconnect between what your user says and what he's really feeling, what he's doing and what he's really thinking. And that is very evident by this empathy framework. And that's when design intuition really kicks in. And you can then make actionable insights from this. The section of think and feel really gives you the emotional side or the emotional connect with your user. And that's where most of the solutions or insights lie. And it's important for us to focus on these when we are doing an empathy research. So coming to this definition of problem, according to me, this is the most important step of design thinking, to define what you're really trying to solution. So if we say Aadhaar card is the problem, we're not really beginning with the problem and jumping into finding a solution. So hasty solutions really, really mar innovation. We're trying to look at and observe all the stakeholders in this particular design problem exercise and the solution. I beg your pardon, situation, and defining what we have. A definition of a problem needs to be open-minded, open-ended. It's always an action word. If you have the word as a definition of your problem, then yeah, you've really done a wrong job. So setting the goals without stating the method is what we can then take to ideate and create more number of solutions. With that said, we have to refrain from abstraction. So there is no, I would like to have world peace and I would like to make every citizen of India happy. No problem statements like that. So in this particular case, we would have a statement saying, I would like to have a method that every citizen of India can identify with. So that would be a problem statement for the exercise that we're trying to say here. So if that's our problem statement, we move to brainstorming. I've had this time and over that brainstorming really is not effective, it's really a waste of time, and so on and so forth. But it is on how you do the brainstorming that dictates the efficacy of this exercise. So brainstorming should be structured and facilitated by an expert. It's almost like they say you have to give 1,000 days for a business. It's about 10,000 hours of brainstorming that makes you a brainstorming expert. But what could you do? You could actually seek a facilitator's expertise with your novice and build on brainstorming as a session. So again, we have mindsets and structures and aspects that we have to look at that. Brainstorming is actually, the reason it needs to be structured and facilitated is that you can't come out of a heated meeting or a traffic jam episode and get into brainstorming. You have to calm yourself. It's almost like calming yourself with yoga before you begin the exercise of diverging your brain. So you have to have a mindset which is calm, which is open, which can synthesize, agile to spring from, not contesting. And this is the time you really have to meditate into your intellect and experiences. It's almost like in Indian mythology, they believe that the artisans actually went into a meditation trance before they visualized what we see at Ellora, Ajanta, or so many other places. And that's where the form of a male or a female, which is ultimate, has been visualized. So brainstorming, I see a parallel in that. So it's almost like focusing all your intellect, cultural experiences, professional experiences, ability to connect with things, all on a platter before you start brainstorming. The best in the brainstorming is if you're judgmental. That's something you really have to leave behind in your drawers. So the structure of brainstorming is basically fourfold. Understanding the problem statement, warming up, definitely, because you're going to have a aerobic exercise of your brain, and then grouping of ideas. If you follow this structure of brainstorming, it's only then that the efficacy rate comes about. Since it's a generative aspect of your thinking, I'd like to give some pointers to have an optimum brainstorming exercise. So go for many. Fill in more sheets of paper. Be visual. Don't stop and think, oh, is this the right solution to this problem? No, that's for a later stage. Let's just put as many ideas as we have on paper. Have a calm music playing. It's also important that you detach yourself from your own idea so you can build on others' ideas. Encourage wild ideas. I think if there were no wild ideas, we would not see many products and services out in the market today. So you would probably have an iPhone then. The focus is on being visual. Like I said in the start, everybody is creative. Let's keep the art and craft out of it. I also believe that everybody can draw. Draw to communicate your ideas. It could be stick figures, line drawings, whatever you're capable with. Headline an idea. So if you're talking about Aadhaar card and your idea is it's a badge with a barcode, so instead of explaining it in 2 lines, say it's a barcode badge. So somebody can pick up that word and build on your idea. Again, the pests. Defer the judgment. So brainstorming deliverable is really grouping of ideas. So it's not really enough to ideate and have ideas flowing all over the place and chaos in your mind and on your softboard. To action this step into the next step, you need to group. And how do we group? We cluster ideas. First, we could do a simple thing by segregating the unrealistic ones and the realistic ones, and not discarding the unrealistic ones really, but keeping it at a later stage where situations, market pointers could change, and select those that can be prototyped as appropriate solutions, in the sense that if there is, going back to the Aadhaar card again, if there are ideas which go around a badge, so it's a colorful badge, it's a barcoded badge, it's a badge that you can wear as a clip, or it's a jewelry item. So all these are one prototype. That's what I mean by grouping. I hope you're with me right here. So with that said, let's look at practicing design thinking. What do we do? With just these 3 steps, how can we immediately start practicing design thinking? So we talked about the 3 steps which actually use convergent and divergent design thinking skills. It uses analysis and synthesis. It tells you how to be user-centric. So it's not about you as you, but it's about as you as the user. It tells you from your idea. Don't stick to your idea and make it your property. So all this, if we practice it as a habit and is consistent, doing these tasks, I'm sure we can expect a change in, say, about 8 to 10 weeks. Well, that's what the behavioral scientists say. At the workplace, how do we do that? Design thinking is probably looked at with certain apprehensions at workplace. So it's all about how we can give its due credit. Can actually build in our organization to make design thinking a culture. So not really reward a successful idea, but also look at ideas that failed and what learnings we got from there. Actually distance yourself from an idea and appreciate that, oh, maybe this is not the way, let's step back and go the other way. Also, job profiles could have cross-functional tolerances. That could create a harmony in cross-functional teams towards an innovation goal. So design thinking enablers. The first thing that design thinking does is to make you curious. It makes you curious, and you will find that surprising as a design thinking practitioner. It makes you curious about everything in your life. It's not only at your workplace, but every bit of your life. It allows you to look at a holistic picture and capture bits that are vital. So it allows you to zip in and zip out. It actually builds a healthy cross-functional team spirit, but it also connects you to the user. So if you're selling a Coke bottle, you're actually looking at your customer, which is probably the dealer, the shopkeepers, but you're also going and visiting the end users, seeing what they could do. It's making your mind, your brain agile to perform different tasks. It allows you to iterate with user feedback. So you're in a constant motion to get to the successful solution. I think these are the 5 pointers. If you take in your pocket, design thinking is for yours to keep. So design thinking definitely can be continued for more than these 3 steps. With failing early and economically, learning to prototype, learning to iterate with user feedback, and definitely hands-on experiences of design thinking. As a practitioner of design thinking, I feel that the webinar is not really a space to teach design thinking, because design thinking is not about being didactic. It's about doing. It's not about planning. It's about actioning. So there's a lot of energy involved in design thinking, which obviously is very difficult to feel and experience through a webinar. So you still have the opportunity to take design thinking ahead and join us on a 3-day workshop in Mumbai on 9th to 11th of October. I'd like to leave you with one little bit that I read in the papers a few days ago. Well, it's nothing to do with design thinking at the onset, but it said it's about this actress Vidya Balan. And we all know that she is the role model for probably sari as a fashion statement. So she went and spent a whole day, I think, at Weavers Colony. And what she had to say at the end is that, oh, I had a great time. I lived a day with them. And it's amazing to see that the couple works together on the same piece of cloth they're weaving, but doesn't speak with each other. Now, this is a real powerful insight, according to me, which would not have been possible if she hadn't spent a day with them. To me, that's the beginning of design thinking. Thanks a lot. Over to you, Nishi.
Thank you so much, Manisha. I believe that you all would have got most of it. We apologize for the hindrance caused due to the network issues in between. Thank you so much, Manisha, and I would invite all of you to please drop down your questions so that Manisha can answer all those questions. Is it okay, Manisha?
Yeah, sure.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay, I think there is a question from Sachin Yadav. So the little exercise that I did in the appraisal, I'm sorry, I don't know whether it's because of network issues. I didn't get your responses. But my intent to make you stop and think about just this one word, appraisals, was to tell you that I'm sure if I had got responses from all of you there, they would be varied. So if they are varied, your approach to the word appraisal from both points of view is so varied. Is it really right for us to do a single mode of thinking pattern and get to a solution of a better appraisal? I think that calls for an empathy research, and that's what I was getting at. Okay, so there is another question from Kunal Gupta. I'll take the second one. Do you teach how to use design thinking for marketing strategy? Yes, we do. Design thinking is, as I have said it time and again, is a methodology for problem solving. So the problem could be marketing strategy, could be mergers and acquisitions, could be a appraisal process. The methodology remains the same, and how to approach it with the challenge will differ. So yes, the answer is yes, we can do that for marketing strategy as well. So there is another question from Sachin Yadav, which says, is always design thinking related to problem solving of the users? Well, design thinking is related to problem solving. If the problem is connected with users, it's of course related to users. So as a methodology, it works at not the problem, but the situation or the people concerned with the problem. So it, like if I take back this Aadhaar card episode, it's not about redesigning the Aadhaar card, but it's redesigning, it's looking at the users, the situation, any other aspects which are dealing with identification. Gautam Dutt, your question is incomplete. Can student be a part of it? Of what? Can you please complete it, and then I can opine on that. Okay, so Ritu Varghese would like to know some successful design thinking case studies. Where Airbnb is one of the successful stories in the startup zone. You have PNG. PNG has. Okay, so I was answering the question of Ritu Varghese about examples of successful design thinking. So I think I said Airbnb as a startup. I also said PNG, and then closer to home. Hello.
Ritu, are you there?
Hello.
Hello, yes.
So can I go to the next question?
Yes, Manisha, you can.
Okay, so there's a question from Sarjan here which says, how important is design thinking for better quality ideation? So design thinking and ideation definitely go together, but the importance of ideation is if the step before, if the problem is not defined right, it's not open-ended enough, it's not cohesive, it's not holistic, then ideation is limited. The act of ideation is limited. So I'm not even getting to quality.
Sharjan, are you there? Hello, Sharjan, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that's one point. Second is, if you look at brainstorming structure, the mindset, and the pointers, and you follow them, then it's an ideation, quality of ideation that we're getting. So to conclude, design thinking definitely gives you better quality ideation is because the step before, the problem statement is well defined and it's holistic in nature. Is that convincing enough for you?
Over to you, Sharjan. Sharjan, you got the answer. Okay, okay.
Okay, there is somebody, there is Aarti, I think, okay, which is the problem that is asked and voiced a number of times. That once you attend a design thinking workshop, it's very difficult to apply it at work right now. Okay, so if you see the fag end of my presentation, design thinking is first a teamwork. It's a change in mindset, and it is a habit. So you as a person will probably need to perform these tasks that I have listed earlier. Training your mind to think on adaptive thinking, training your mind in converging paradigms, training your mind in synthesizing analysis on problems that may not be worked with. If you get to that first, then you are a design thinker. Now, how do you take it back to work? Work requires team members, and work requires examples of success. So work on things that are very small in nature. So it could be reducing time of, say, replying to your customer if you're in customer relations. If you do just that small exercise by design thinking on your own and show an outcome, that proves to many other people in your team that design thinking is the way to go. And you can then slowly build up. Most of the times what happens when you do this 2-day workshop and then you go back and start doing it, you fail to funnel down outcomes of every step. So the research has an outcome, which are the frameworks that I said, but let me take the next question by Asif. How many prototypes do we need to validate to decide what is the best? Okay, what is the best practice in the industry? Well, there is no hard and fast rule on how many prototypes you need. Who is the key deciding factor whether your prototype is correct? how is your user. So the prototype is really meant to actually take another holistic stakeholder view. So once you have the prototype ready, your design thinking team or the innovation team definitely needs to have multi functional team members. So once the prototype is done, then you can look at the manufacturing angle, you can look at the sales angle, you can look at the marketing angle, and then you can also test it with the user. So sometimes you can get it right in just 2 prototypes. Sometimes you might have to go to 4. So it's really depending upon what feedback you're receiving from all your stakeholders. And that is how many times you have to prototype. And there are no best practices in the industry. So to say, the best practice is that your consumer and all the other stakeholders are happy with what you're rolling out. His next question is, how many customers should we go with each cluster? So I understand, or I deduct from here, that you're talking about the cluster that I gave with the Aadhaar card example, where we're talking about male, female, and so on and so forth. So that is really dependent upon the problem you're trying to solve. So in an Aadhaar card situation, it's very huge. But for example, if it is in a attrition situation in a workplace, then the clusters would be probably smaller in number because it relates to the workplace. So the number of clusters, or I would call them groupings, are dependent upon the task at hand. So if the task is huge in nature, encompassing more users, then obviously the clusters are more. Yeah. So Asif, I think I've answered both your questions, and I hope that's okay with you.
Yeah, thanks. That makes sense.
Okay. So let me take a question from Kunal, and he says, can you suggest some project management tools for using design thinking? Well, that's a nice question. That's a very different question, and let me tell you how to do it. So project management and design thinking, yes, they go together. But I have yet to come across project management tools to follow a design thinking methodology. But if I could look at it from my experiences of what I've worked in places, they go parallel to our project milestones. So they can be in a way synced with a normal project management tool. Design thinking is just how to get there. I think in every project you do have some kind of a research phase and some kind of an ideation phase and some prototyping that you do. So the point that I'd like to make is how you do each one is what design thinking is all about. You can use the same project, the management tools that you're using as of now. So he is also asking me another question is, how is empathy different from market research? So empathy is a part of market research. It's how you do the market research. Most market research organizations and services actually work with a very with the problem stated. So so again, if it's Aadhaar card, the survey would say, are you happy with Aadhaar card or no? How many times have you have used it? State the number of times. Which is the time that you felt difficult about it? How many times have you felt difficulty in using Aadhaar card? Yes and no. So it is taking into consideration that Aadhaar card is a problem. But what empathy does is probably looking at the users that are connected to Aadhaar card and saying, would you like to identify yourself? How would you like to do that? Would you like to have a direct connect with the government? Would you like to just not carry so many things? So it's actually the empathy is understanding rather than questioning. So market research generally tries to question and then understand. And empathetic research actually understands and infers. So that's the big difference there. And also in market research, it's rare that you find the emotional component, the think and feel aspect, where measure innovation, what do I say, insightful innovation rise. So that's, I think, the efficacy of empathy research. I hope you got it, Kunal. Okay, so Asif is asking me again, how critical is design thinking for a startup as they will be more focused towards working skeleton as soon as possible to market? Okay, I think it's most critical for design thinking for startups. I told you the story of the wheelchair. Most startups and founders of startups are so enveloped with the idea that they have that many a times the authentication or validation of the idea with the user, with the market scenario is left behind. You're actually running to get the product to market. And that's why probably the failure rate of startup is really high.
Um, okay, so because the thing is, why I'm asking is, so basically what happens is the startups will be more or less they'll be concentrated towards giving something in the market so that customers can use, and once we will have the data points, then we can come up with awesome features with very nice designs and all. So is it very critical at this stage because we even don't have any competitors to validate what is that we need to have in the product?
Okay, so let me answer your question in more than one ways. Okay, the first thing is, if you are building an innovative product, you definitely don't have competition. So if I'm talking about Uber versus Ola or Amazon versus Flipkart, I don't think they're innovative products. They are just this and that. Yeah. So if I'm talking about innovation right from the day one, I mean, there's no other product, then you definitely don't have competition. So you're really not going to gather data from what your competitive products are going to do to your product, right?
Yeah.
What you're really going to do is to say whether you are wowing the user or no. So your link is with your user. So if you do not begin with the user, you are now groping from whether the user will like it or not after the product is out in the market. And in today's time and age, no customer is willing to give you a second glance. It's the first time right. So it's important if you have an idea, that's great. But take that idea through an empathy research with its user or probable users or probable things that you want to do and take it to the brainstorming. You may find that you can cluster some other features with what your idea was and to make it more holistic in nature that wows the customer. So it's willing to pay that extra bit, it's willing to wait for you, it's willing to do a lot more things than you anticipated because it's in love with that idea. So that co-creation is really necessary in startups according to me.
Okay.
Okay, so may I request you all to please join our LinkedIn group and drop your queries so that Manisha can get in touch with you all again and she can answer your queries through the group. So I would like you all to join our LinkedIn group. And Manisha, I think that it was really knowledgeable session and they have got all your queries satisfied at this particular moment. So I think that we can answer all the rest of the questions through the group. Is that fine, Manisha?
Yeah, I'll be only too glad to answer
Hello?
all your queries. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I'll be only glad to answer your queries, but I really request you to actually get your hands dirty with design thinking, and most of your queries will fly out of the window. But I'm always there to help, so I would gladly answer your queries.
Thank you so much, Manisha. Thank you all. Thanks
Thanks
for
a
the view.
lot.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks a lot.